Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, you're about to witness the awesome crushing might. Yeah. This is like the 5th time I've tried to show my enthusiasm is flagging for the intro. Or rather, my rage is so high that the intro is going to destroy my voice before I get to the show. I see I got 2 of you, 5 of you. Okay, let's hope it works out. Awesome crushing might, blah, 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 of Knuckle Up! Trust no one, trust nothing. This is round number 301. I am your host, Eugene S. Robinson, whose patience is being sorely tested by tech troubles. I'm holding as still as possible. The outside chance that half an hour of misery will be mitigated by an actual real show. If you're a dumbass, please get off now. Dumbasses. I don't get this guy. I don't have the patience today. I just don't. Got a lot of stuff to cover. I can't be thinking about morons when I'm doing it. Well, I just want you. I don't think you're talking. I don't like seeing up your nostrils. I don't like you eat. Save it. Look, if we were at a bar and you were on a bar stool next to me, I would have to say very quietly, why don't you take it on the arches before you get hurt? But first, these words. I'm on my way back to nowhere. And I could not see so clear. A real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. Albeit payback in full, always nothing. All right, enough of that. I've spent 30 minutes trying to do this show, which has whetted my appetite beyond all measure for actually delivering the show. I already gave a proviso, a warning for the dumbasses. Leave. There are other shows. Go to some other show. Go somewhere else. I don't have the time for it. In the comments, or like Dallas subs in for Kid Not Tay this week, and right away I got like more dumbass thumbs downs because people, who is this guy? Fuck this guy. What are you guys doing? You don't understand the premise. Get off, or have somebody who explain it to you. It's like farting in a crowded theater. It's against the law. I know that's yelling fire. It's some legal precedent. I don't know what it is. First off, I must say, before I say another single word, Conor McGregor nut jumpers. Conor McGregor nut jumpers fans, Conor McGregor nut jumpers fans, or fight gamers. You need to hear me now and believe it always. I'm going to say it for your benefit, so you know I know it and I believe it. Conor McGregor won Saturday's fight. UFC 202, he won it. There's no confusion. He stood there. He had his hand raised. The judges, 47-47. It was a majority decision. Got it. I got it. Did you all hear me say that? You can nod your heads yes. All right. I said it. Anybody who didn't hear it comes in late. You need to tell them in the comments. I heard that. Now, in the first minute of the show, get Nazis right in there. Do you remember the 3 types of secrets that Hitler talked about? All right. Number 1 type of secret that Hitler talked about in a private discussion with, I don't even remember who it was at this point. Goebbels, maybe. There's the secrets that I keep from you. Secrets I have. They're the secrets that we share. Secrets that you and I are talking about. And the secrets about future events as yet untold. And this specifically references providence, fate, or at the outset, in a modern context, the functioning of the machinery. And I could see the nut jumpers who stayed said, ah, here we go. Conspiracy theory. Be man enough. Whoa, wait. This is multi-level chess, tri-level chess. Do not confuse what I'm about to say with a conspiracy acted upon an unknowing individual, specifically in this case, Nate Diaz. Now I've revealed a hand. Now I've revealed a hand. And stay tuned by the end. We'll get to penis pills later. I know I led with it in the intro, not in the intro, in the write-up. Penis pills later. I've got pictures of said penis pills. Believe me, ties into the mini mart. You'll love it. In any case, what did we say a few weeks ago about UFC 202? What did we say? We said smart business move. The money business move would be to pimp this shit straight out through a trilogy. I amended the position as the weeks wore on and said, well, given the fact that like the Scorpion and the Frog, the bald one and Zuffa couldn't help but alienate, and let's call them the Diaz's, because we were talking about both cats. Nick not being able to corner his brother because though his suspension is over, he hasn't paid the money, and them trying to horse trade him to $25,000. Tell you what, you don't have to pay the whole 75. Give us a 25. Nick had to pay the 25, so he couldn't accompany his brother in the corner. So start with that. Start with Nate's tweet from a few weeks ago about how you can't trust these guys. With Zuffa being Zuffa, you know, if my hand is here, Zuffa's hand has got to be here. They cannot abide by my hand here. And I said, well, Nate Diaz, the Diaz's don't seem to trust Zuffa and the bald one enough to play ball. Play ball, specifically addressing the conspiracy scenario that I painted a few weeks ago, whereby a Diaz goes for the okie doke, makes a work out of it, loses fight to generate interest in a trilogy. Because it's better to get paid $5 million per fight for 3 fights than $5 million for 2 fights. Now I'm watching. I got my eyes open. You got your eyes open. Those of you who heard it, even if you disregarded it, you heard it and knew that that was going to be my move, my angle of attack. That's not my angle of attack. Like I said at the beginning, he won it. It's not my angle of attack. I just want you to consider some things. So that was the expectation. And going into it last week, I said anything could happen in this fight. Anything could happen. The guy gets hurt. He gets Patrick Cotaed. Anything could happen. You know, the judges rule in a strange way. Anything could happen. Anything that happened who could deliver a W. The cuts bleed so copiously, a doctor stoppage, any great Cecil Peoples could reappear. Anything could happen to deliver a W. I even made some claim and said, oh, look, the only thing that I'm going to really believe is a knockout or a submission. That's why we love the sport. There's a purity to knockouts. There's a purity to submissions, right? Even if those can be worked to, we're not getting into that. So we had serious expectations. Our cautions were set to code red. Cautions were set to code red. I'll just wait. So we had this expectation. We didn't know what would happen. We suspected that maybe the Diaz's, because of continued difficulties, but the narrative that the Diaz's work from is they don't want guys like us in the house. The world is a ghetto. 209 is universal. The system is stacked against us. America doesn't love winners fundamentally, but America really feels much better with the lovable losers. These are all things I've spoken to before, but I'm watching with a gimlet eye, as we all were with the fight. Watching. I'm going to interrupt like those station IDs periodically for people who join later to understand. Conor McGregor won the fight. He won the fight. This is something we know. So they start, there's the bottle throwing incident. You know, there's the Flinchy McFlinch at the weigh-ins. There are all these things that happen for real. And the fight starts. And there was no doubt in my mind, and should be no doubt in anyone else's mind, that Conor McGregor legitimately put Nate Diaz on his ass. Was wobbled. Nate Diaz, once he was on the ground, moved enough. I'm sure it's happened to him before. Moved enough to create cautions in the mind of Mystic Matt. I'll stay up here, thanks. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I will stay up here. Yeah, so legitimately was brain boggled. If you were 209 fan, you can't tell me you got to the end of round number 1 without gripping. My heart was pumping like a jackhammer. Legit. No excuse. That round 1, Conor McG all the time. But you see, we're imprinted with the narrative. We're imprinted with the narrative from the last fight. Fundamentally, we weren't okay with that. Because the second fight, we're gonna give that one to Diaz. They call it a dog fight. Joe's enthusiasm was rampant. Now I'm gonna pause for a second. And I'm gonna pause for a second to look at the business challenges facing the people on the outside, on the curtain, what they call the outside of the cage, the curtain of the cage. The business challenges presented to the bald one in Zuffa. Like Pascal's wager. Just envision the grid, 4 squares. If a Conor McGregor loses, he shot for 175, he shot for 155, he shot for 145, because the Diaz narrative rules the day at 145. You've just been knocking out little guys. Jose Aldo's last fight, it went like like McG himself said, went to a decision, completely underwhelming. Okay, Jose Aldo is not wanting to open the door any wider than he has to. Perfectly okay with a decision win. Eddie Alvarez is in the picture, piping up somewhere down there. RDA is still out of that. Could be a nice fight. Nice step. But these are not things that you want to see. These are not $5 million fights. These are not fights that Baldwin wants to write a $5 million check to anybody for. That's if Conor McG loses. If Nate loses, not only do you have a trilogy, if Nate loses. Not only do you have a trilogy, but you preserve interest in 145. You preserve interest in 155. You preserve interest even at 175. If Nate wins, which is just a bounce back from Conor losing. If Nate wins, what do you get? You don't get a 170-pounder who can challenge for the belt. You don't get a 170-pounder who is interested in challenging for the belt. You don't have a 170-pounder that can get another $2 million fight with anybody, anywhere. You just get a fighter that's worth $2 million that you can do nothing with, that fundamentally you're going to have to fucking let go because there's no fights for him. All right? He's going to go to Bellator for what? Bellator, by the way, you can healthily say, I know there's some claims that people talking about MVP fought a great fight. How many of you, raise your hands by a show of hands or tweets, saw Bellator? Past one. Okay, it was in London. Did you know that? I'm guessing. So Nate Diaz wins. He's got nowhere to go. Nate Diaz loses. He preserves a trilogy. He revives himself as somebody who can have a red panty night, who maybe is in the top 5 at the 170s. Don't tell me you wouldn't be interested in seeing him against a Robbie Lawler now. You would. Guy's been doing it since he's 19. He's 31. Dude might be getting tired. So I'm creating a casus belli. And what I'm creating is not so much a conspiracy, but people knowing what side the bread is fucking buttered on. And I'll say again, like a station ID, don't get me wrong. Conor McGregor won this fight. He had his hand raised. There is no confusion. I'm mentioning various scenarios by which everybody who was concerned about the bread and the side that it was buttered on could make decisions that accorded with their visions of the future. Now, just consider for a second, Nate gets brain boggled, gets punked. It's knocked down 3 times the first round. He's given some meat. Those of us nut jump, 209 nut jumpers, like, okay, gripping. By the end of the round, he got out. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. He made it out. This fits the narrative. Yeah, McG had more time to prepare. This dude has more time to prepare. Whatever. They go into round number 2. You know, it starts to closely mimic Joe Rogan. Joe Rotane, Rotando, Raganto, Arigato, Mr. Robato Rogango. He says, man, this has turned out to be a dogfight. It's a replay of the UFC 196. Yeah, maybe. I gave you a little meat. Maybe you took it. It's fucking, who knows? I mean, Conor McGregor is not an unskilled fighter. Nobody's ever made that claim. Second round, maybe goes to Nate. But you know what? You know what this is down here? This down here are weeds. Right? And this up here, these are trees. And this is the forest. And we're talking about the forest. Because how do you win through losing, and how do you lose through winning? These are careful calculuses. And now I'm just going to cut to the end, because I'm not going to give, I'm sure some of you, those of you who care enough to have listened this long, have watched the fight several times already and on the replay. Going into the last round, there are many who said it was 2-2. 2-2. Last round decided. But I'm not talking about down here. I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about interesting optics. Bruce Buffer, you want a clue? You want to make some late in the game money? Bruce Buffer always cheats his body toward the guy who wins. Always. He gets the envelope even before he's gotten around to announcing what the judges said. He knows, and he cheats his body toward the guy who wins. Watch him. So they give the first score for McGregor. The second score, tied. I don't even need to know who the judges are. As long as it's not Cecil Peoples, I don't give a fuck. Maybe Sal D'Amato sometimes makes me nervous. And then they give the score that gives a majority decision to Conor McGregor. What happened next, I found super compelling. I mean, not only when the fight was over was, you know, Nate helping dude up and they're hugging each other. I'd be hugging a guy who made me millions and millions of dollars too. I'd be high-fiving him. I'd be low-fiving him. I'd be at his house for dinner. We did it. The most important person in the world to me, in fact, is that guy in the fucking cage. Kavanaugh on the outside, staking his career on it. The valence, tickets going from 20% off to 25%, 40% off. to put those asses in the seats of the TV. This is good for everybody, including me. Yeah, yeah. You know, and I know if you're watching, there are 56 viewers watching me. Weren't 56 viewers last week. It's good business. Was I part of the conspiracy? Nope. Was there a conspiracy if there's no secrecy? Nope. How upset did Nate seem? Let's compare Nate post-fight to Jose Aldo post-fight. Jose Aldo post-fight was sitting in the cage. I have a distinct memory of him sitting in the cage with his arms wrapped around his knees. Last time I saw a guy that disconsolate, is that pronounced correctly? I don't know. Last time I saw that guy that miserable was at an orgy I went to that involved a fellatio sneak. This show wouldn't be this show without Utre's sex stories. Utre's sex story this day was the orgy I went to in 1980. One guy is on his back. Let's call that guy Garth. And another guy I can see from across the room in the world's smallest horror movie is crawling toward Garth's crotch. And this woman, let's call her Jay, or let's call her Joy, say. She sees this and decides to play a prank on Garth. And she takes her copious breast and puts them in Garth's face. And so Garth has a face full of tete. And somebody starts filleting Garth. And Garth is completely happy with this. And Garth blows his load. And Joy sits up and goes, ta-da! And he looks down and sees, let's call the guy he sees Andy, with a mouthful of Garth's spooge. And Garth spent the rest of the orgy sitting in the corner. A haunted man with his arms around his legs. That is how Jose Aldo looked. That is how Jose Aldo looked post-fight. And by Jose Aldo's own report, he went back to the green room, the dressing room after, and he cried. He cried like a child. Look into your eyes. Look into your soul like Miller's Crossing. Look into your soul and you tell me if you believe that Nate Diaz went back to his dressing room and cried. Do you think Nate Diaz had a Garth moment and sat there? Nope. Do you think Nate Diaz seemed very conflicted about the outset? I seem to remember the first thing out of Nate Diaz's mouth was about the trilogy. Do you think that trilogy would have, do you think there would have been a trilogy had Nate Diaz won? What are you saying, Eugene? What are you saying, that Nate threw the fight? I'm not saying Nate threw the fight. I'm not saying that at all. So you're saying that Nate let Conor win. I'm not saying that at all. Look, let me tell you, you know how many times I've rolled with Leopoldo Serrao? Not only an MMA fighter, but a Brazilian national champ, Luta Livre champ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champ, won a bunch of shows. You know how many times I've rolled with him? Let's just say a dozen. You know how many times I've beaten him or tapped him out? 0. You know how many times he's tapped me out? Not a dozen. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean in that gray space between secrets I have, secrets we share, and secrets about future events as yet unknown? Someday, I like to imagine, I will tap him at least once. He says that day will never come. That's window dressing. It may come. But what he's trying to do is to prepare me for being a black belt. When black belts roll with each other, what do? Going through moves. Not trying to take each other's heads off. Some of the toughest rounds I have are with white belts who see that purple belt and they go crazy. So what are you saying, Eugene? I'm not really sure what you're saying. Why you just come? I used to have a girlfriend who would scream at me and go, why don't you just say what you mean? And I'd scream back, I'm saying what I mean. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean I'm not saying what I mean. There's a difference between losing a fight and not winning a fight. That's what I mean. And I'm not saying this is one-sided. Let's not be fucking stupid. Immediately post-fight, what is the first thing that he reads off the teleprompter? Oh, there was no teleprompter? I guess maybe there wasn't. The first thing that he reads off the teleprompter is, I'm back! Without a super large amount of conviction. I'm back. Got it. And he starts talking a little bit of smack, and you can see in his face, he pauses. And he breaks it down, and he turns it around and starts to talk about this guy is a true competitor, a true warrior, using some of the same language, syntax. This was a dog fight out there. We gave it our all. If this is not the best 5 rounds you've ever seen in the UFC, if Dr. Pangloss says it is so, it must be so. Yes, I'm quoting Voltaire. Do not tell me what I saw. It was a good fight. But the thing about erectile dysfunction, ooh, how do you like that segue? The thing about erectile dysfunction, and believe me, I do a column at Ozzy.com called Sex with Eugene. That's not my first dance at the rodeo. I've been doing sex columns since 1999. Ask Huge, for Code Magazine, for Mode Magazine, the magazine for plus size women, the Guy Spy, for the New York Blueprint, a Jewish periodical, Ask Avi Baby. And now for the past 4 years at the Ozzy Sex with Eugene. And I know how sexual dysfunction works. And once a guy has got it in his head, he's got it in his head. Can't get it out of his head. Or like Tom Wolfe said in The Right Stuff, see you Navy guys come in here and you all look different. And I see you when you leave, you all look the same. How's that? Scared. Scared. You know what? I was an asshole before I was 18. I was like, I had come from Mount Olympus. I competed in bodybuilding shows. I was strong. I was powerful. I couldn't be stopped. God was smiling on me. And then I got hurt. I got hurt sometime in 1980-81 using an AMF leg press machine. I really hurt my back badly. Couldn't lift weights, had bad tingling in my legs. It was terrible. And I had to suddenly kind of reconfigure how it is that I understood my relationship to reality. And it was a bitch. It was like having erectile dysfunction saying, what if I never get an erection again? What if I never, ever? That's the only way. That's the only way I can fly without anxiety. Because I'm sitting right now that I'm talking to you, a minute ago, 5 minutes from now, planes are landing all over the world and they're not crashing. Why would mine crash? Yet some do, I got that, but why specifically would mine crash? So the erectile dysfunction, you get yourself out of it. Is it possible that I will never, ever, the rest of my life, get another erection? Well, that's probably impossible unless I'm paralyzed from the neck down or something. And even then they have devices. So that means I just have to arrange my erections with times when I'm around somebody I want to use those erections with. If you haven't been able to make this parallel between UFC 202 and what I'm talking about right now, that's on you. As I'm talking, I'm trying to, I will find for you in short order something that somebody sent me, and you'll appreciate it. And I've been, yeah, here you go. It's from Chung F. Kennedy, related to John F. Kennedy. This was a face, Connor McG's face before the decision. And you can read his text or his tweet. This is not the face of conspiracy. This is not the face of a guy who knows what's going to happen. No, this is not a guy, but everybody knows. Even the jungle knows. Fans of the sport know. Even Conor McGregor nut jumpers. And make no mistake, I've said it several times during the show, Conor McGregor won this fight. But even Conor McGregor nut jumpers know that this was the best of all possible things. It had to go this way. It absolutely, positively had to happen the way it happened. It had to. Absolutely had to. No doubt about it. It doesn't mean that anybody knew it was going to happen that way. And I don't, you know, and so you have to say, okay, let's throw a counterfactual at Eugene. Let's just throw a counterfactual at him, okay? I know you're kind of saying it was a work, but without it being a work. Here's a counterfactual that I'm saying you're saying to me. Eugene, what if the judges had decided in Diaz's favor? If I'm Diaz and the judges decide in my fucking favor, I know that money train has stopped. I run back to my dressing room, and just like that movie, Takashi Miike, that Japanese director, where the guy puts out a fucking line of Coke on a ping pong table that's about as wide as a fucking hot dog bun and as long as a ping pong table, and does that whole line. Of course, in real life, you would die if you did this. This is how the guy starts the movie. If I'm Nate and they say, by Nate Diaz, I run back to my dressing room. I do more blow than I run out to with Coke cake to my face. And I say, hey, you got to drug test me now. I do not want to win this fight. I do not want to win this fight. When you start making that money, you know what your tax rate is? You know what you got to pay your team? You know what you walk away with? It's 31, Jack. Realistically speaking, just say half. So that fight, this fight, Phil, $4 million, give away half in taxes, $2 million. $2 million after you pay your team. Maybe you got 1.5 mil. You think 1.5 is enough to live the rest of your life on? At 31, think again, motherfuckers. Not. So they say Conor McGregor kicks a little smack. They shake each other's hands, high five, low five, hugging, kissing, get the corners, all is squashed. And the post-fight press, somebody said, before you do the show, watch the post-fight presser with Conor McG. I did. Of course, I'm singing the praises of Dude. I'm singing the praises of Dude because, man, this is good. Well, almost good. Because there was still some reckless talk coming out of the mouth of Conor McG. Not about Nate Diaz, not about fighting, but what I really wanted to see, and I'm looking for an alternative camera angle from this. I got the one on SureDog, where the camera angle is pretty tight on him. I want to see the bald one's face. I want to see the bald one's face. Because when I say that this is good for business, what I'm saying is it's good for the business owner. Look at it from the bald one's point of view. I don't know what I didn't see his face the entire time. And I could have just not been paying attention. Who knows? He's got A Conor McG who's brought to heel. 170 holds nothing but terror for him now. You think he's going to put him in against Robbie Lawler? You think Robbie Lawler would reject that? You think Conor McG wants that? At this point now, the ball, it's like the guy like King David in the Bible. Now, King David does in the Bible, he sees this broad and he wants to screw her. And if you don't like how I'm talking about the Bible, sorry. And he goes, who is that broad? I forget her name. Who's that chick? He says, oh, that's so-and-so. Her husband is one of your soldiers. Huh? What? And so he starts sending that soldier out on the most dangerous missions. What was Kid Nate want? Right in the middle of the show. Now he shows up. Now he shows up. Yeah, I don't need the help now. So the guy comes back alive from the mission. Jesus Christ. Sends him out on another dangerous mission. Boom, the guy finally gets, and he prays to God. He goes, God, please don't deny, I need this woman. Don't deny me this woman. And God says, all right, I'll overlook, David, the fact that you ice this guy for your personal sexual perverted gains, but you'll never know rest from the sword. At this point now, the bald one is King David, and he's going to run Conor McG every dangerous place he can put him, because he's realized that a Conor McG control is a good Conor McG for Zuffa. So that talk about, and if you don't think that talk about how, look, that's right, baby. What does it say? If you don't think that talk about, oh, I built this, I'm the reason this is a $4.2 billion company. If you don't think that fucking talk rankled, you are wrong, wrong, wrong. I built this company. I contributed about, really? Yeah, WME cares more about making cash than it does about the people it hates. But there's a correlation. I tried to explain to somebody in jiu-jitsu today after watching hours of Jeff Glover that it's geometry. Good Brazilian jiu-jitsu starts with a curve. In other words, my head closer to my feet. If you look at me from the side, if I'm turtled, if you look at me from above, if I'm on my side, every move that I do that eliminates that puts me closer to a submission. Knee on the belly, mount, hard, heavy side control with knees in, getting rid of your curve, or owning the curve, elbowing the guy in the head so he's trying to push off of a bent spine, not the good kind of curve. He's got to bring this guy to heel. You know, he starts talking about, I mean, at this point now, the fighters union thing, Mark Hunt is suddenly quiet. How much do you have to pay to quiet Mark Hunt? Not much. People are easy. Easy. How much do you think it would cost me to find somebody to have you killed? You might be surprised, much less than you'd like to think. So when he's talking about, I built this company, that can't have it. Gotta stop it. Gotta stop it. Gotta stop it. And then suddenly, if you don't think that in a moment of reflection, the Baldwin is sitting around today saying, somehow, if I can align their best interest with my best interest, things work out. And this is the miracle of America. I'm not having a the revolution in America was very different than the French Revolution. Let them eat cake, fuck it. Now everybody understands. And the only one who doesn't seem to really, who has got a sneaking suspicion is McG. Saying it is so doesn't make it so. It doesn't make it so. You know? Somebody says, the king is back, but what domain does he rule? I got to read Yeah, I'm going to read the rest of this tweet because it's great. Hold on. He says, I don't know if he wants me to use his name. Yeah, unconscious drives the engine, Frankie says. And then somebody else says, where is it? It just came in. I just saw it. Oh, no, it came by way. He goes, the king is back, but what domain does he rule over? If someone asked him, I doubt he could answer. He avoids the featherweight division like the plague and just split fights with a top 10 lightweight. It's heavy. It's heavy. It is fucking heavy. Because it's like suddenly, it's like that great scene from A Bronx Tale where the bikers come in and tear up the mafia bar, and the guy's, I'd like you to leave. He goes, we're not leaving. And the guy starts to walk through the door. He's like, and he locks the door. He goes, now you just can't leave. You want to play this? You can't fight a 3 fucking front war. You can't fight Zuffa. You can't fight the bald one. You can't fight your opponents. And at the same time, try to, of course they love you. Of course, Nate's willing to throw, play fucking bad water bottle badminton for you as long as you keep paying. But everybody else wants you dead. Why? Because, you could have driven a resurgence in interest in featherweight and the RDA thing. I mean, this could have, and instead you went off on some quixotic thing. You got fucked. And not only that, your head is fucked. If you think that was the same, he talked about it in the press conference. He goes, yeah, I've been humbled and I've developed. He did. He was exactly right. This is kind of what he needed. 1, to develop as a fighter, and 2, when I hurt my back and finally rehabbed my back and could lift weights again, it was a humbled, chastened, non-providential, non-fate smiling on me, EUGENE S. Robinson. We call it in America becoming a man, which is succinctly realizing the limitations of your fucking powers. On the one hand, had Hitler realized the limitations of his powers, he wouldn't have invaded fucking Russia when he did. On the other hand, you have to question whether realizing the limitations of your powers is fundamentally good for the republic. And you have to look at the long play. And the long play here says very specifically that, well, he's got to come down to my world now. This doesn't hold any concern or fear for Diaz, who now has unlimited period of time to prepare for your 155 bout. And what do you have? Like King David, he's going to run you out there against a rogues gallery of killers who, even if you beat these guys, even if you beat them, Nate's words will ring through our heads. You beat a bunch of midgets. You beat a bunch of midgets. By the way, as an aside, Eddie Alvarez is not ready. That much I want to say right now. So it is. What is that thing about be careful what you wish for? This shit is complicated. It's complicated. And if Conor McG is a smart man, he is in no way, shape, or form. Glad to see the suits come back. But you can't believe the hype, baby. You can't believe it. And if you haven't been able to see that this is a different man come out of that cage than went into that cage 2 years ago, if you can't see that, you're not seeing. Your eyes are closed. Your eyes are closed. This is heavy. Some of us don't see. Some of us don't see the rest of us become men. That quiet night of the soul I had, where I had to realize, what if I could never lift weights again? And even more than that, when I went back to the gym, and a guy who was fucking my ex-girlfriend was doing bench press, and I go to spot him. and they look at me and his training. These guys are like 170, and they're putting up 145 on the bench. And I go to spot the guy, and he goes, "Eugene, I'll handle it." And I realize that mastery of the sport begins with embrace of humiliation. You got it's that Clint Eastwood scene where the guy rehabs himself off in a cave somewhere. If I'm Connor McG, I go back and I go, yeah, okay, fun and games are fucking over, right? Stop this touch butt shit in the park. Get me, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy? Keep him in here. They're saying now he broke his leg. It's gone from his foot to his shin. Now it's his leg. This is serious fucking business. No funny face, funny mask shit. Verdum sitting at home wondering where it all went wrong. Serious business. The guys who hold on to these fucking belts and who last are not fucking around. Not fucking around. And I got to tell you, with 15 minutes left in the show, I have to tell you the God's honest truth. If I have a choice between getting busted for performance-enhancing drugs, I promised to you this to you at the beginning. If I have a choice between being busted for performance-enhancing drugs or getting busted for taking these, look at it, look at it. I'm going to say not only was I taking performance-enhancing drugs, but I've been taking coke and heroin and anything else but these. Now, where are you likely to find these? Huh? Johnny Boney Joney, I still haven't shown you the picture of him with the guy who runs the mini mart that he's good friends with, that he likes to hang out with. My spy, who sent me the picture of these, took that photo in the mini mart run by the friend of Johnny Boney Joney, who is probably the principal enabler for some of his bad behavior. He said the guy gave him these. Now, next to Sorrow Academy is a liquor store, and they have these. And I'm laughing because, or a version of these, I'm laughing because it is a give her something she'll never forget. It was a what? Shit, that could be anything. You know? And the guy, I'm laughing, and the guy behind the counter is laughing with me because, hey, dude, you got to try it, man. I go, have you tried it? He goes, you got to try it. They're like $5 a pill. It's crazy. You say, well, why would somebody take these instead of Viagra? Listen, when they invented Viagra, look, in the old days, people would steroids. Guys at the end of their cycles would suffer, inconsistent penis. Sometimes it works. So guys, this is why 8-week cycles return to 12-week cycles return to 16-week cycles, because guys will never want to ride that shit out. I used to have guys call me crying Friday in the morning. I got a date tonight. Do you have anything? Even if it doesn't work that fast, guys are going to take, unless he's taking HCG, which has a testosterone bump within 2 hours. They wanted the psychological edge of knowing if they were going to do any fucking tonight, that they could do that fucking, so the erectile dysfunction thing didn't hit them in the head. I'm not tying it in that for that reason. I'm talking about the mindset. I'm not saying performance-enhancing drugs were used. So, steroids. Then they invent sildenafil, which porn stars were injecting directly into the penis. I had a woman have sex with a guy who goes, hold on a second. He was older. He was like 65. She was like 22. Guy would disappear. He didn't give a shit. He'd leave the bathroom door open. He'd inject it right into his penis. I go, was that sexy? She goes, not really. So sildenafil, so they figure out, they put it in a pill form, they create Viagra. So now I got guys buying from me. I got guys buying from friends of mine steroids and Viagra. One guy comes to me, he's like, man, I was in North Carolina. I put her ass to sleep. He's taking steroids and he's taking Viagra. And I, at a point of curiosity, I say, hey, man, hey, have you told her? And he looked at me like I was the stupidest man alive. He's like, no. So he's not telling her that he's taking steroids or Viagra. He wants to think I'm a sexual fucking Superman. I can fuck 8 times a night and I can last 45, 50 minutes, no problem. The steroids make you want to do it 8 times a night. Viagra makes it possible. Women all over America reporting, injuries consistent with sexual assault. Vaginas are drying out. They get Hollywood. What? Unnatural. Don't say anything. So it's not that the dudes taking it, Anderson Silva, now Johnny Boney Joney, are taking it because they can't get it up. They're taking it because the road to wisdom is a road of excess or some such thing. Because any woman boning Johnny Boney Joney is going to tell people, I boned Johnny Boney Joney. Sorry for everybody else in the card at UFC 202 that I've gone from Conor McG and Nate Diaz to boner pills, but that's the way it's going to be. And I got essentially 10 minutes left in the show, so I'm probably not going to get to the suspicious-looking Cody Garbrandt or the fact that my picks were shit. Ronda Marcos. How could you let somebody do a back take on you? Or the fact that the dude who lost to Lorenz Larkin, I don't even, Neil Magny went Neil Magny on me. I'm talking about penis pills. And if you're not excited about the penis pill discussion, tweet me right now. It'll come up on my screen as I'm doing the show, and I'll go back to talking about Cody Garbrandt. Easy peasy. So got a woman who's having sex with Johnny Boney Joney will tell her friends, I had sex with Johnny. The pressure on Johnny Boney Joney is intense. I'm not saying he was taking these pills. I don't know what he was taking. But there's certain loose talk alleging that he was taking penis pills, specifically these. And apparently the Nevada State Athletic Commission purchased these. And have found the guy to be exonerated. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Rumble is fighting DC. And I think this will be the best of all possible things, in actual fact. I think it'll be the best of all possible things because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to call my shot from here on out. Because nobody really needed to see. These guys really don't like each other, but there's no stomach, and I'm glad to see he's back. Alexander, the Mauler Gustafsson, glad to see his name is back in the mix. Ooh. Yeah, ground control to Major Tom. But DC against Johnny Boney Joney, outside the fact that Johnny Boney Joney really hated him, I don't need to see it again. I'm predicted very clearly DC, I'm going to call a shot at it. Why? Because the jungle wants it. The jungle wants it. And it would kill DC to lose to Johnny Boney Joney again. Doesn't need it. Doesn't need it in his head. Doesn't need it in his life. He loses to Rumble. That's 1 for 1. Rumble gets the belt. New man finally has his fight with Johnny Boney Joney. If he wins against Johnny Boney Joney and DC still wants to fight, he can fight him. It sets up an interesting scenario no matter which way you turn. However, if it's the best of all possible worlds. DC wins, you've got a greatly diminished Rumble. Why, if you're Johnny Boney Joney, why the fuck would you want to fight Rumble? Beaten by DC twice, the guy who you beat. Yeah, it's MMA math, doesn't always add up, but come on. We're talking about asses and seats. So I'm calling the shot. DC fundamentally is okay. He calls him out. And did you like how Rumble got in front of that narrative? He says, DC, where are you, boy? And he stands up, and there's booing. He calls him out. I'm ready. He calls him out, and then, fucking dude, Rumble, I don't give him much credit for being smart, but this is pretty smart. He goes, Hey, I just want to say right now, it's very disrespectful for you to be booing the champ. I don't know if they were booing the champ. They could have been booing you. He got ahead of that fast. It's very disrespectful for you to be booing this guy because he's a punk ass bitch. It's very disrespectful for you to, because his mother's got a wooden leg. How dare you? How dare you boo Daniel Cormier, who is, got an IQ, a subpar IQ? Who? He got in front of that fast. And he got in front of it and said, don't boo this guy. And he burnishes his brand when he's not getting busted for DV. Burnishes his brand. Makes himself look good. Sets up a rematch that we're actually interested in on the back of a 13-second knockout of Glover Teixeira, who's somewhere. What the fuck is this? What is this? This sheet says 47. What the fuck does that mean? Have a seat, sir. Have a seat. We'll get what 47. What sir, have a seat. And he looks up on the board and sees you're at 3? 47. I gotta wait. Sir, quiet down, please. Phantom toll booth. Where you gonna go? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters? Man, given your age, dude, you were my pick. It was a horrible night for me with picks. But I just couldn't pick the alleged domestic violence guy. I couldn't do it. But this does set up a nice return match with DC, better than Johnny Boy. And then fundamentally, Johnny Boney Johnny fights the winner, gets his belt back in spectacular fashion, or gets put to sleep. People think, oh, he's just swinging wild. Nah, Rumble wasn't swinging wild. He pulled Teixeira's head into that, and bang, 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 bang. So this is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Oh, I didn't finish the penis pill story. So do you tell the people that you're having sex with that you're tanked up on steroids and Viagra, and that's why you're a sexual Superman? You know how many porn star friends I have? Eric Everhard, Brandon Irons, Jules Jordan, who was a director, Mr. Marcus. You know how many of them cop to using Viagra? 0. 0% of the male porn stars I know have copped to using Viagra. So bodybuilders high on testosterone, exogenously introduced steroids and Viagra, not admitting it. Guys who make their professions with their penis, not admitting it. Mr. Marcus very specifically said to me, if I need that to get it up to go to work, then I'm not going to work. Hey, if there was a performance-enhancing drug that made it easier for me to sit at a desk and write stories faster, I would take it. Oh, Eugene, what are you saying? You never took Viagra? Well, of course, if I have a friend who is selling Viagra, you'd be curious to take one of those pills. If you were, you take it. But you know what I found? I mean, you know what my friend found? He found that having sex for 3 hours in a row has its own downsides. I'm in good shape, but you got to parcel out your energies. And it's one thing to run a race very fast because you're taking steroids. It's another thing to run that race and then go home and try to hold it down by having sex for 3 hours, because you do realize that once you lay it down, a 3-hour sex session and multiple orgasms, your partner is going to expect that each and every time. I just, Mick Jagger said it best. I just don't have the juice. Now keep in mind, an hour and 20 minutes is good enough for many people. 3 hours, I don't need to impress anybody that much. My wife is more than happy with an hour and 20 minutes, aren't you? Okay, never mind. Ignore her. I don't know if you could hear her off camera. She wouldn't complain about 3. Well, she would, because then she wouldn't be able to do her activity, which is pole. She'd be too tired and sore. And I wouldn't be able to do jujitsu because I'd be too tired and sore. All right. Yes. Okay. The show is coming to a conclusion. Apropos moment. I'm not having sex for 3 hours. So it has nothing. Hey, if you can find other guys who are having sex for 3 hours without performance enhancing drugs, I'd like to meet them. And you bullshit male porn stars, don't fucking lie to me. Don't fucking lie to me. And that Eric Everhart, Brendan Iron, I love these guys. Mr. Marcus. But, I'm talking to the journalist. I don't buy it. I'm not going to buy it. So that is the end of round number 301. Thanks for sticking in there. I got to tell you guys something, and I'm going to tell you right now, the 28th, next Sunday, is my birthday. And I don't tell you, it's like, you can say, yeah, Eugene, you knew that and we don't care. Yeah, I got it. I'm not saying that for any other reason than to say the timing of the live portion of the show might be weird. But since my kids routinely ignore Father's Day on my birthday, I might have some time on my hands. But maybe I'll get the show done early. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I gotta get the show done early because I got stuff to do for the birthday thing. So anyway, that's it. Oh, what is it? Oh, wait. Okay, I got an interesting text, and I'm gonna end the show. Man, you're way off. Trilogy, we need part 5 of this shit. Let these two fight forever, and I will gladly separate with $60 every 3 or 4 months. $2 million was a disclosed salary. He took home easily triple that with pay-per-view bonuses and other incentives. He's right. Pay-per-view bonus was $50,000. Anyway, money makes people funny. Again, I'll end the show with how I started the show. For those of you who don't want to believe it, Conor McGregor won. Long live Conor McGregor. Anybody who says differently is watching the fight with some part other than their eyes. We'll see you later on in the week with If I Did It. I don't know if there's a Care or Don't Care preview. I'm unsure of this. I don't know if there's a UFC or a fight on the 28th. I'm not sure. I have to check. You probably know faster than I do. At EUGENE S Robinson on Twitter. You can read me. I got a video up on Ozzy right now, for those of you watching it right now, about the beach. Check it out. It's amusing. It's amusing. Even if I have to say so myself. And we'll get into other stuff later on anyway. But the show's over. Thanks for sticking in there. We'll see you next week. Look what you made me do!